Welcome to my YouTube channel, One Race, Human Race, All Human. Today is Saturday, July 31st, 2021. You're about to see Congresswoman Bush from St. Louis, Missouri, and Congresswoman Presley from Boston, Massachusetts, as they are examples of what love looks like, what love and advocating for justice looks like. In Matthew chapter 22, verses 36 to 40. It says, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" In the New King James Version. Jesus said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." And then if you go to Luke chapter 10, you'll find the parable of the Good Samaritan. Okay, you'll find the parable of the Good Samaritan. And you all know that parable in Luke chapter 10, verses 25 to 37. And a person was in need of help, and a pastor looked the other way, right? And then a deacon came by and looked at the person and went the other way. The Samaritan approached the person in need of help, and that person had compassion. Samaritan, by the way, is a person that's part Jewish and part Arab, right? And that person was despised back in that day. But you know, there's one race, a human race. We're all human. That person showed love and compassion and helped the person that was in need. And so in verse 36, Jesus asked a question, "So which of these three do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the thieves?" And he said, the lawyer asked the question to Jesus originally, "He who showed mercy on him." Then Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." Christ calls us in Matthew chapter 25. And look at the 34th through 36 verses. "Then the king will say to those on his right hand, 'Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, homeless, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Christ calls us to make the world better. Christianity is an action religion to help people, to make the world a better place. You know, Jesus put it this way in Matthew chapter 7. And specifically, verse
left in
12.
limbo, failing to extend federal eviction protections last night. So as it stands right now, the federal moratorium ends at midnight. We should note that as millions face eviction as early as Sunday, members of Congress are on August recess. Not all of them, however. Some decided to keep the fight going, sleeping on the steps of the Capitol overnight in protest. And now, calling on the White House to take action with the clock ticking. Two of them join me now, Democratic Congressman Cori Bush of Missouri and Democratic Congressman Ayanna Presley of Massachusetts. Thank you both so much for your time. Congressman Bush, I want to start with you because it doesn't appear as though there has been much movement to actually extend the federal eviction ban despite your best efforts. Your reaction to the inaction today?
You know, I don't know what's happening in the background. I don't know what those conversations are that may be happening at the White House and the administration or even in leadership in Congress. But I will say this, we have 5 hours to get this done. And so we're holding out hope. We're still out here because we are holding out hope. The people are here backing us up. The people are here. The community is here. Advocates are here saying, calling on the people that are supposed to represent us humans to do something and do it now. So we're holding out hope. We got 5 hours.
Yeah. Congresswoman Presley, what is it that you want to see and hear from this White House?
Well, I think the point is that American families, they have no more options, but government and those in power still have many. And we need to act, and urgently so. We have several options on the table here. The Senate, which is still here, they can extend this eviction moratorium they can do that. The House can come back into session and pass Chairwoman Waters' emergency bill to extend the eviction moratorium. And I sent a letter and many of my colleagues joined me on that, the White House and the CDC can act unilaterally to extend this eviction moratorium. I do want to just point out that we have been organizing and mobilizing since January on this issue. This has been escalating activism. We have introduced bills. We have lobbied leadership. We have lobbied the White House. And in fact, we were successful in lobbying to get the initial extension of the eviction moratorium. So we're remaining vigilant until we have exhausted every tool at our disposal, because eviction is a policy choice. Eviction is violent on its own. But to evict 7 to 11 million people in the midst of a pandemic with surges in the Delta variant is a death sentence, period. And we have to do everything to prevent a national tent city and an eviction tsunami. And that's why we're here.
Congresswoman Bush, this is obviously very personal for you. Do you think other members get it the way that you do?
They may not, and that's okay. That's why we speak up. For those of us that are okay, you don't have to speak up. You don't have to talk about your issues. But for those of us that are okay being vulnerable in that way, we're going to speak up, and we're going to make sure you know, just like as people are being evicted, as people have been evicted during, even while this, while they weren't supposed to be being evicted, while this moratorium has been going on, and people still have been being evicted. You know what happens when you get evicted? You incur all of these extra fees, all of these late fees, all of these court costs on top of what you already owed. And so this does not fix the problem. This does not help people. When we talk about upwards of 7, maybe even 11 million people, we're talking, how much money is that? What are we doing to people that we're supposed to represent? And so for me, yes, it's very personal. It's personal because, first of all, we're talking about my people. We're talking about putting out people. When I look at my district, when I look at St. Louis, you're talking about putting my St. Louis folks out on the street. And I'm not just going to sit back and be quiet about it. And then it also affects the country. It affects my sister's district and the people that are out here. It affects so many people. So we speak up. But then also, I've been there. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be cold. And I know where to use the bathroom, not be able to take care of my what I need. Where do I get period products? Where do I store them? How do I change? Like all of those things. How do I stay safe? How do I keep my kids safe? I know what that's like, and I don't want anybody else to have to go through it. And I ran for this seat to make sure that nobody has to go through it as long as I'm here. That's why my sister is here. That's why our other colleagues have been out here with us, because we're making sure that, and then we got the backup again of the people to get it done.
It is very striking to me, Representative Presley, that you take that very real lived experience and you put it side by side with the language we hear out of Congress, right? Members saying, well, why take a vote on it? We know it's going to be DOA in the Senate. It doesn't make sense. What do you say to your colleagues who are on that premise, did not want to grapple with this?
Well, so then why do anything? We know that the filibuster, which we need to abolish, and we know that moderate Democrats like Sinema and Manchin have been obstructionists to justice, to progress. They clearly have contempt for the American people, not compassion. But there is not a deficit of resource. There is a deficit of empathy. And that's why we're here, not to spotlight us, but to center the 7 to 11 million families. Look, sleeping here last night was uncomfortable, but nowhere near as uncomfortable as the real, palpable fear that families are living in right now because they don't know what the future holds for them. This is not charity. No. This isn't benevolence. This is about being responsive to the needs of a people in the midst of a pandemic-induced recession, which has destabilized families and caused unprecedented hardship. So if we really want to be about rescuing the American people, that means leaving no one behind. And that certainly includes our most vulnerable, who, by the way, the most vulnerable, the most marginalized, Black, brown, AAPI, indigenous, disabled, LGBTQ, young people who came together, the most marginalized, mobilized in a multi-generational, multiracial movement to make this Democratic majority possible. So we have a responsibility to be responsive to the needs of all the people of that movement. And we have tools at our disposal. And I do want to add that Senator Warren was here today.
Yes.
The chair of the Rules Committee, Jim McGovern. So, look, Massachusetts has been here. You know, we're holding it down. We got a lot of people from Massachusetts here. But the fact that the chair of the Rules Committee, Jim McGovern, was here today says that folks, you know, they are ready. They are ready. This House can reconvene. And we can pass that bill, and we can prevent this national tent city and eviction tsunami. The Senate can do that. The White House and the CDC can do that.
Congresswoman Bush, where do you take this fight from here?
Right now, we're out here. We're going to continue to mobilize. We're going to continue to call. We've been asking people, call your representatives. If you don't know how, go into a search engine, type in who is my U.S. representative, and then reach out to those people. Call them, let them know that you care. Let them know that you want them to vote. You know, we want them to turn out. We want them to show up here if they can get here, and we want them to say that they're a yes vote. Let us get to that 218 so that the Rules Committee can go ahead and come back together and we can get this done. But also, we're here because we know that there is still time for President Biden and for the CDC to go ahead and get this done tonight. So we're going to stay here. Everybody here is committed to staying here. We're staying here, and we're going to make sure that this is done. And you know what? If it's not done, it won't be because we didn't do the work to galvanize. It won't be because regular folks didn't show up. We got regular folks out here. The ones the ones that are directly impacted are out here showing up to say, please don't put my loved one out. Please don't put me out. Please.
That's right. And listen, people need time. The states, yes, we have sent formidable resources to states, and they need time. They need the time to get these funds out. So with the White House and the CDC, we sent a letter to them today asking them to act unilaterally. And people have said, well, the courts have already, challenged whether or not they have the authority. Look, let's take that battle on, because even that is going to buy our families time. And that's what they need in this moment. So again, we have tools available, and we must exhaust every single one. There's a family right now that has no idea what the future holds for them. We have to do everything. And so that's why we're here. And we just thank everyone. Everyone has a role to play in the movement. You know, so some people have been here, some people have sent food, some people have come by in other ways to support care and feeding, and been doing what has happened throughout this pandemic in the midst of unprecedented suffering, which is to offer unprecedented organizing, mobilizing, unprecedented collective care, mutual aid, and unprecedented hope. And that's what we're still holding on to in this moment.
Congresswoman Bush and Presley, I got to talk with you on the phone yesterday. Thank you so much for joining us on camera today.
Therefore, whatsoever you would that men do to you, do also them, for this is the law and the prophets. The answer is love, compassion, helping people. That's the answer.